Okay, welcome into Another Dooley Noted Podcast presented by our good friends at Titan MRI from the Shackhound Mercandani Studios. And we appreciate everybody for watching, listening, sponsoring. We appreciate everybody in the whole world. We have, the good thing is this week, I'm speaking Tuesday to the quarterback club, and Laura Rutledge will be the speaker there, and I'm looking forward to that. But other than that, I'm kind of changing up some other things. We'll get into all that a little bit later. Obviously, we got a lot to talk about because we are in college football season. We are in it. I got both feet in college football season. Today on the show, Chris Doering is going to join us. You can never go wrong with Chris Doering. He's done such a great job with the SEC network and with Sirius radio. I'm proud of him. I really am, because I feel like I nurtured him along. We used to do a show on 97X in the old days, and also, we talked a lot. We did a lot of interviews all through his career. So I'm really proud of him. I feel like he's one of my students, kind of. So he'll join us today, and then on Friday, since it's the opening day of the season, and Robbie and I have nothing else to do, we'll do a podcast. Robbie will have a different sponsor this week, and so he'll be on Friday, and we'll ask him a lot of questions. I've already been thinking about them. Some of them like team most likely to take a lead, FAU or Miami. Stuff like that. I'm going to ask him some fun questions, and we always enjoy having Robbie on the show. So Chris Doering in just a little bit, we'll talk about that. First games, obviously, were played. The one was really interesting to watch, but didn't go well. If you're a Nebraska fan, no question about that. But, they are what they are. They're the same, like he said after the game, Scott Frost, he goes, I don't want the same movie as last year. This was the same movie as the first game of all the games last year. Well, maybe you need to get a new director, or maybe you need to get a new cinematographer, because clearly the problem with that team is the same as last year. Martinez will make great plays and he'll make dumb plays. The fumble for a touchdown was a huge play in that game. Kind of turned the game around. But the biggest play of the game was when Illinois threw an interception, and on the play they called roughing the passer. And so rather than and then afterwards there was another 15-yard penalty for somebody taunting. So you end up with, instead of them getting the ball in your territory, you get the ball way into their territory and they score. So, that's just the kind of things you can't do. And look, if I'm Dan Mullen or any other coach, I would say, let me just show you. You may have heard that Nebraska lost to Illinois. You guys might not have watched the game. Nobody made you watch the game. Let me show you why they lost the game, and show about 5 plays, including that trying to catch a punt in the end zone, which is beyond me why you would do that, and then trying to toss it out. Now, you talk about a desperation. That was like, I got to get it out of here. So, but look, Nebraska's not my problem. I'm not worried about them. They weren't going to be that good anyway. Illinois is not going to be that good. They're going to be a 500 team. They were what Illinois was in that game, was what Illinois will be under Brett Bielema, and what Arkansas was. They run the ball, and then they play action pass, and they try to play from ahead. And that's the way a lot of those coaches do who believe in the running game first. They try to play from ahead, and that allows them to run the ball. So whatever it was, it was still fun to watch, and it was fun to analyze. It was a long game. It went forever. It's like a 4-hour game, but I enjoyed watching it. And then we come to and I was thinking about this, because college football fans open seasons differently than other fans. Their anticipation, their love for their sport, their love for their team is different than it is for other fans. For example, you can say NFL fans, NFL's the king. There's no doubt. They get the biggest crowds. They get the most eyeballs on the televisions. They don't get the biggest crowds, because the stadiums are built smaller. They're about people watching, and they're about fantasy football and stuff like that, which is fine. That's why they're number one. But do you think the fans are, God, I can't wait till the start of the season. It's going to start any day now. When does it start? No, they're kind of like, all right, that's the start of the season. Now we got 17 more games or 16 more games to play. No, I don't feel that same buzz. I don't think that there's a buzz in Jacksonville or Miami or even Tampa Bay. I don't think Tampa Bay, they're going, I hope we can win another Super Bowl. We'll know more about it later on in the year. Whereas with college football, even no matter who you're playing, if you're playing FAU, if you're playing Samford, if you're playing, Bowling Green like Tennessee is, it's a different vibe. People will tell you that Major League Baseball fans, oh, opening day, what a great day it is. Well, this team opens this day, but then the other ones open the next day, and it's the first of 162 games. Please don't tell me it's great opening day. Yeah, it's a game. Okay, great. There's another game tomorrow. Not as big a deal. College football is the best opening day in any sport by far. And what we've seen so far are different, and we talked about this last week, different ways of looking at it and different things that I expect to go on throughout the year. For example, at UCLA, you had 32,000 people, and there weren't 32,000 people there. That's what they announced. It was, I would guess there were more like 18,000 people there. And obviously, students aren't back yet. It was hot. Oh, it's going to be hot out here in the swamp. It was, they've got a lot of COVID problems out there. I know the variant and everything like that. But it was still the second lowest crowd in the history of the school. On the other hand, you've got a game, North Carolina's at Virginia Tech. Those fans can't wait to get back out there, Hokie fans, and it's a sellout. They've already sold it out. We've talked about Florida. I put the over-under at 70 for the Florida crowd. I'm probably going to lose that bet if I bet the under. But there are other people that I keep hearing, I don't know if I want to. We'll see. It's going to be different everywhere you go. For example, UCLA playing host to LSU. Well, there'll be a lot of LSU fans out there. Most of them trying to escape their state. In fact, the LSU team has escaped their state, and they're now practicing in Houston to get ready for that game. And you wonder, look, I don't think UCLA is good enough to beat LSU, but LSU is the big X factor team, and I wonder how good they're really going to be, and I just don't know about them. So does the distraction of practicing and staying in a hotel, well, most teams do that during camp anyway. Is it a big deal? I don't know how big a deal it'll be. Like, I wondered if Nebraska's issues with the NCAA would affect them. I don't know if they did, but they certainly didn't play like a team that was well coached or had been working on things. In fact, sometimes I wonder if teams practice at all. So we'll see crowd-wise how it goes. Will it be a Florida crowd that's packed and loud and raring to go? It's FAU. Okay. Well, yeah, you still gotta show up and play. You don't want to be embarrassed. Just win the games, all that really matters. I think people get caught up in the scores of games. And Florida certainly is a favorite by, I'm looking for the number here, I think it's 23.5. So, which isn't a huge number. But FAU's N'Kosi Perry is going to be their starter, who, of course, I'm pretty sure is from Ocala. Played for Miami, started for Miami some games. Very thin guy, and Florida, I'm sure, will try to get after him. All right, some of the games, by the way, Oklahoma-Tulane has moved because of the hurricane. And look, we are not insensitive to what's going on with Ida. And we hope everybody in that path, and, prayers go out. We know there's already been fatalities, and it's brutal. It's brutal when a hurricane that big comes through, and it certainly is going to be tough. And we know that all football is offering is a distraction. And it's a good distraction, and we love this distraction. But it's all it is. It's sport, it's entertainment. but these are real lives being lost, and we hope that it's minimal as it can be. And again, it's going to continue up through, that whole area and kind of veer off to the right, and then you spawn tornadoes with a hurricane like that. So hopefully things work out. But anyway, the Oklahoma-Tulane game, which was going to be played in Tulane, has been moved to Norman. So that's one move already. I don't know of any others. I was curious about this. I was looking at ticket prices because I don't know. I'm probably way overly curious about crowds for this, especially the first couple of weeks. Eventually, people are going. We would hope that, this Delta variant has a habit of kind of peaking and then decreasing. However, there's another one right behind it, and we'll have to see what happens there. But I'm curious what crowds are going to be like early, especially in the season, because obviously people are dying all over the place. And we just actually had Robbie and I were just talking about somebody that we knew very well that just passed away from COVID, younger than us, believe me. But I was just curious. Florida, by the way, if you go on StubHub, you can get a ticket for that Florida Atlanta game for $12. Pretty good deal there. The cheapest ticket for Georgia Clemson, though, $146. Cheapest ticket for Notre Dame at FSU is $105. So they clearly are fired up about that game. And I will say this. I'm making my picks this year because I don't have my column anymore at the Gainesville Sun. So if you go on to the WRUF.com site, and I do my back nine, and then within there I'll do picks all year, usually 10 games, usually 5 different ones, and then 5 from around the country, but then 5 within the state. So you can get my picks in there. The Alabama-Miami game is $101 for the cheapest tickets, so it's pretty good. Florida released its depth chart today, and they had nothing surprising. Avery Helm was lining up opposite Kyer Elam. That'll be interesting. It's funny because we've been hearing all about DeMarcus Bowman, but he's not listed on the depth chart. It's Damian Pierce or Malik Davis, and the second teamer is Naquan Wright, and that's just a thing. It's just 'cause they've been around. Don't worry about it. DeMarcus Bowman will get his carries, and the more carries he gets, the more carries he'll get. In other words, the more he gets the ball and the better he does, the more he'll do some great things with it, and then they'll have to play him a little bit more. They're going to keep those guys fresh. There's no doubt about that. All right, we have got a bunch of stuff to get to, obviously. We always do here on the show. In fact, the Adams Ribco to Go Gator of the Weekend was an easy choice. Leonardo's and Millhopper Quick Picks. We're going to expand them by one. We're going to have 2 quick picks now for football season because we got a lot of games to pick. Hand Law, 3 things. Can't wait to get to that. This, that, and the other. My favorite. Alex Wesley Construction 12-pack. I got a good one for you today. You'll have fun with it. All that's coming up. But right now we're going to take a break. When we return, my good friend Chris Doering from the SEC Network and from Sirius Radio will join us. You're watching or listening to Another Dooley Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI, live from the Shaq Allen Mercandani Studios.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Car accidents, trucking accidents, motorcycle accidents, and wrongful death. If injured or killed by the negligence of others, who will fight for the compensation you deserve? Shackow and Mercadante, 5 lawyers, more than 100 years of combined legal experience, millions in settlements and verdicts. Call Shackow and Mercadante, 371-3000. Rebuilding lives.
Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Dooley Noted Podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave me the idea to do this, to have a to-go place?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it. This is Pat Dooley encouraging you to become a member of the Gainesville Quarterback Club, the oldest organization anywhere dedicated to Gator football. The club meets weekly during football season with an impressive list of speakers, including Bobby Stoops, Phil Fulmer, Steve Spurrier this year. Meetings are held at the Best Western Gateway Grand, and they have a special offer for you. The first 3 meetings you can attend for only $100. Believe me, this is a bargain, and trust me, you'll have a good time. Get off the bench, and it's time to score for the Gators by joining the Gainesville Quarterback Club.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Tebow Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Fight Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Okay, welcome back to Another Duly Noted Podcast, live from the Shack Allen Mercandani Studios at the podcast room of Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, where I know that Chris Doering has probably wandered over here and had some shrimp. You have any shrimps over here?
I've had some shrimps there, Patrick. I was actually there on Saturday night. I think I went down the whole list of specialty cocktails that the head ball coach has on his list. So I just want to make sure for quality control, everything's good.
Yeah. Well, you're a tester. That's what you are. You're a tester.
Yeah. I'm a giver. I'm doing that for the public. So I feel good about everything that I tried, which was quite a few of them.
Well, it's great to see you and great to have you on because I know how busy you are. I mean, I watch you on the SEC network. I listen to you on multiple channels on my Sirius radio. And I just wanted to say how proud I am of you to become such so good at what you do for a living. And it's funny when I listen to you, I'm like, if you didn't know better, you wouldn't know that this guy bleeds orange and blue. He is giving you the honest opinion of everybody.
Yeah, sometimes to the dismay of the folks wearing the orange and blue. They don't necessarily like to hear that from me, but I try to maintain a little objectivity, and certainly I appreciate you saying that. It means a lot, especially with the friendship you and I have had for a lot of years, man. I don't know I guess the statute of limitations are up now, so I can admit to the fact that as a player, I was at your house, some of the chili cook-offs, and
you did.
Hanging out with you for a long time. We've been friends. I did some of my first media work with you on what was that, 97X back in the day. So it definitely means a lot to me to have those compliments from you. And certainly I appreciate all the impact that you've had on my life as well.
Yeah, the statute of limitations are up on me too. So I can say that I had a party and you came and you brought Noah, and you were telling me how you nicknamed him Fat Dog, and I never knew him. I go, yeah, this guy's ever going to play for Florida. And then he played.
That's a true story.
One of the greatest games ever.
Yeah, it ended up working out pretty well for him, and he lost the weight too. Doesn't even resemble the guy that used to have the hot dog neck rolls back in the day.
Well, let's talk some college football. I mean, we got through the first weekend, which I refer to as week 1, not week 0.
Yeah,
this is week 2
By the way,
coming up.
I'm lobbying that we should start every season in that week, with everybody playing, and go back to that what we do every 4 years. Have the double bye week. Give yourself some room for some moving things around if you have to. I don't understand why we wait until the first weekend of September. Let's get this thing kicked off in August.
I don't get it either. If some teams can play, why can't every team play?
Yeah,
I don't understand it. I mean, if Florida and Miami could play 2 years ago, why not have other games? I am total in agreement of that, and I just don't understand the mentality. Some people say, well, our students aren't back. Well, they probably aren't going to the game anyway. We
Well,
know
are the
are
students
these
there on
days.
Thanksgiving weekend when Florida and Florida State are playing with some of the
No.
biggest rivalry games? I mean, it seems to work out all right then. So, I mean, if you really want to attend, I think that the students will probably show up, especially if we're doing the right thing and give them something that they want to watch. As long as we're not rolling out FCS teams. And I really do believe that's one of the great things about, the idea of the expansion to 12 teams for the college football playoff is we're going to get a lot of better matchups between Power 5 FBS type schools and have an opportunity to stop passing off these FCS and Group of 5 opponents as if they're the same as all the other games that we have on the schedule throughout the conference season.
Absolutely. Well, one thing that disturbs me is the way that everybody has pretty much said it's going to be Alabama, Georgia in the SEC championship game. I'm a big believer in Texas A&M, even though I know they're changing quarterbacks with Kellen Mond gone, but I was never that big a Kellen Mond fan in the first place. So Haynes King will probably do it. Jimbo Fisher is what he is. LSU's got a lot of good players. They got a quarterback that obviously beat Florida in the swamp. And I think Alabama may take a little step backwards. I'm not ready to concede the East to Georgia. I mean, I think that what's the point of watching all these games if you've already decided who's going to win them?
Well, what also makes me mad is how angry fans get about where their team is ranked in the preseason. I can't think of anything that means less than preseason rankings, and to get all
watch lists mean less. Yes,
forget all of that stuff. Let's start with Alabama though, Pat. I don't know that we've seen a deeper, more talented division in college football than what we'll see in the SEC West this year. I think the floor has risen considerably. I think you have legitimate challengers to Alabama, like you mentioned with Texas A&M and LSU. And I think with all the attrition there, both on the field and on the coaching staff, they are inevitably due to take a step back. I know it doesn't happen every year, but I think this is kind of a special circumstance to me because not only did you lose the production, you lose the leadership as well. And Coach Saban talked about it a lot last year about when your best players are your best people in the locker room, it leads to something special. So who are those leaders? I think they've got a very difficult September. You look at the schedule, not only throughout the year where they play in the SEC West, but crossover rival game with Florida in week 3 coming to the swamp. The Gators couldn't catch Alabama at a better time. I think it's actually going to be a little more challenging opener against Miami with all of those new moving pieces trying to fit together and figure out, some continuity and chemistry.
Yeah, that's the thing with that first game. I think, Miami's got a lot of good players. If somebody could tell me how De'Aaron King is going to play in that game, I would give you a lot different prediction. I am taking Miami in the points. I don't think Miami will win that game, but I'm taking Miami in the points.
Yeah, I think it's generous. I mean, it's a lot of points, but also at the same time, everybody's passing off this idea that De'Aaron King is completely healthy. I mean, the guy had knee surgery within this calendar year. I believe it was in January when he had that procedure done. And all reports, we talked to Joe Zagacki from the University of Miami, the play-by-play guy down there this morning on our show, says he's not even wearing a knee sleeve in practice, which I find really surprising. So I assume that he's going to be 100%. I assume that he's going to be able to run the football with the impact that he's had in previous seasons. But until I see it against this Alabama defense, who I believe is one of the best and one that we're not talking about enough, I think that's another thing. So, and let's talk about Georgia. I actually, and probably not going to be very popular with you or with the folks that listen to this podcast, I think they win the SEC East. I think they win the SEC championship. I think they win the national championship this year. Now, with that being said, I know there's a lot of injuries at key positions, the places that you probably couldn't have afforded to have injuries. You're having them in the secondary where you lose your top 7 players from last year. Tyke Smith comes in from West Virginia. He goes down. Not sure about what his status is. Darnell Washington, a group of question marks at the pass catcher positions where so many different guys have either been injured or coming off injuries. So what's the situation like there? And then on the offensive line with your center Erickson out, that's a one of the most key pieces of football is the center quarterback exchange, not to mention the guy that's making the calls up front, the continuity that you need to have to protect JT Daniels against the best defensive front in the country that Clemson will roll out there on Saturday night.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And a lot of it, too, is that when you look at that Georgia team, what happened to them last year against Florida? They had those key injuries. The big guy up in the middle and up front, Jordan Davis, out for the game. Richard LeCounte, who I thought was the best secondary guy in the SEC last year, was out. And you never know. I mean, people always say, what do you think the Gators are going to do against Georgia this year? And I go, let me know who's playing quarterback for both teams, because I have no idea. I mean, by then it could be Anthony Richardson. You've seen practice, and you've seen Anthony Richardson, and getting rave reviews. What are your thoughts about him?
No, I said this dating back to the spring. I think everybody, thought it was a foregone conclusion that Emory Jones was going to win the job. I was not of the same opinion. I hope for Emory's sake that he wins the job after staying around and kind of doing the opposite thing to what most highly recruited quarterbacks typically do in this day and age. And that's leave if they don't get the immediate playing time they think they deserve. But at the same time, all of the reports that I've heard before going to practice were of Anthony Richardson really looking good. I saw the offense have a lot of rhythm with Anthony as the signal caller there. So I love the fact that there's competition at that position. I think it was premature. I saw some of these the drafts boards that had Emory Jones in the first round, and we're not even sure if he's going to end up starting this year or not. So this, Pat, you and I were here during some of the great times of Gator football history. Coach Spurrier was not afraid to create competition at every single position, and that included the quarterback spot. Even the Heisman Trophy winner that ended up winning it later in his career was subject to having to compete for that job. And so I love the fact that Dan Mullen is doing the same thing, creating depth at every position and encouraging competition at each of those in an effort to raise the overall play of everybody on the field.
Yeah, the Heisman Trophy winner was told, it's not your fault, my fault for putting you in the game, and down 10-0 to Auburn in the rain. Danny, you trying to lose the game all by yourself?
That was not exactly you left the word out of
there. There was a word out.
I was sitting there right next to him. I had dropped a pass earlier in the game. He looks at Danny. You single-handedly trying to lose the blanking game? And he looks at me. And you, what's wrong with you? And then Riedel Anthony took the next kickoff back to the house, and we ended up rolling them from there. But yeah, man, it was. I love the way that Coach handled every single position in terms of making sure that everybody was always on their toes, always competing, and never becoming complacent.
Well, let's talk about wide receivers, your favorite position for Florida, especially because we all kind of expect Jacob Copeland to have a big year. What we've seen under Dan Mullen, and especially under Billy Gonzalez, is almost a plug and play. They bring guys back, and they're able to put up big numbers. Now, you don't have a Kyle Pitts, you don't have a Kadarius Toney; those are unicorns. We'll see if Copeland is a guy, and there's some other guys that could be really good, but right now, we're kind of just waiting to watch games to see if they are good.
I'm not worried at all about the pass catchers, whether we're talking about, the tight end position replacing Kyle Pitts. And again, that's a once in a generation type player, or you're talking about, Kadarius Toney and Trayvon Grimes. There are a lot of players on this roster that have had significant playing time in meaningful games. And I look at, Trent Whittemore from right here in Gainesville, I'm excited about as a nice compliment to Jacob Copeland.
Yep.
Xavier Henderson had a chance to play a lot last year as a freshman. I look at Weston, the kid that came out of South Florida a couple years ago. He's been a guy that I know that the coaching staff was excited about. I saw him do some nice things in the scrimmage the other day. So I feel really good about that position. And then the tight end spot with Kamari Gamble and Keon Zipperer, two guys that have played a lot, had production in Kyle Pitts' absence in a couple games last year. And then the freshman, I don't even remember his name, but I know
Sinkis.
that, I'm excited
I know
to
it
watch.
because I know it because I was asked about the tight end position at Jacksonville Gator Club I spoke to.
Yeah.
And when I mentioned him on purpose because it was Jacksonville, and his grandmother came and said, I'm his grandmother. I'm like, God, thank God I didn't say anything bad about him.
You never know, right? I mean, I found myself in
I got burned on that once.
Hey, I've done it as well, and nothing feels worse than having to answer to a family member.
That's exactly right. But yeah, I think they're – and the thing is, I mean, you played under the most brilliant offensive mind of my life, okay?
Yeah.
And Steve Spurrier. Dan Mullen is the second most brilliant in terms of – at University of Florida. I'm a big fan of Jimbo. I'm a big fan of Lane Kiffin. But I mean, Dan Mullen will figure out a way to get points on the board. And I'm kind of curious, and I'm sure you are too, to find out how they're going to do it. What are they going to do? How are they going to game plan it?
Pat, I will say this. It reminds me an awful lot of the setup when I was at Florida in the early to mid-'90s. A great offensive mind as the head coach. a very good receiver coach who actually played the position. Dwayne Dixon was my receiver coach. You mentioned Billy Gonzalez. I have a lot of respect for him and what he does in teaching the nuances and little things about playing the wide receiver spot. The only reason I ever played in the NFL was because I was well taught at Florida and doing those little things that I mentioned before. So these guys are going to be well prepared when they get their opportunity. And, in respect to what you said about Dan Mullen and the curiosity of how they get it done, he's the best schemer, play designer, play caller that I've been around since Coach Spurrier, and minimizing weaknesses and putting guys in positions to be successful. Now, the thing that I look at with Florida this year, we've got to see some improvement on the offensive line. They've won in spite of what I thought is a below average offensive line, but they've done it. Mm-hmm. They've done it with, you see them go with a little speed option. They've utilized the zone read stuff. I think with Anthony Richardson or Emory Jones at the quarterback spot, you're going to see that running game improve a little bit more because of the threat of the quarterback run. But I do think that we need to see, both in the run game and in pass protection, a more solid, more athletic, more disciplined offensive line up front than we've seen the last 3 years.
Absolutely. They need to block people. I mean, you can't have a good running game if they don't block people. And again, I know you're not paying attention to the defense when you watch them practice, but look, they couldn't be as bad. We know that. It's impossible. They were historically bad last year. I think they're going to be pretty good, but it's that front seven I really like. They announced today their depth chart. Avery Helm will be on the other side across from Kaiir Elam, but I worry about the safeties, and are they going to step up and be good players?
That was a very good, talented, experienced group of secondary players last year. The problem was, as you mentioned up front, they couldn't get any pressure with their front four, so you're having to cover for an extended period of time in the secondary. Even the best cover man's going to break down if they're having to cover for 4 or 5 seconds. So Florida's got to do a better job up front on the defensive line, not only against the pass, but against the run as well. Let's get some penetration. Let's be disruptive in the backfield before running backs are able to get downhill. They did get the 2 transfers, one from Auburn and one from Penn State, which should help. I'm excited about that.
They got another one today. I don't know if you heard about this. They got Tyrone Truesdale, who is from Auburn and played for them and has some tackles. He's coming in too. So you add in Gervon Dexter into that mix, and that's going to be a strength where it was a weakness last year. At worst, just be a push. Don't be a weakness like you were. But Florida, that's what we think about Florida defenses historically, are having those studs up front, having guys that are first-round NFL draft picks. That group last year was not representative of what we typically see from a Florida defense. And my hope is that Florida can start to recruit those players, because I don't know that there's a position in college football that you have to recruit well at in order to be successful as the defensive line. I think you can turn, average receivers into good productive players by scheming things up and teaching them. You can't coach size, you can't coach athleticism, and you have to have that if you're going to play defensive line here in the SEC. Absolutely. It's a line of scrimmage league, as Will Muschamp always like to say. It'll be interesting. Hey, I was thinking about going to Vegas, your favorite town, and putting probably $1,000 on the Clemson's over-under is 12. I think they're losing to Georgia, and that would cement it. I would win. So
how about that? Both Alabama and Clemson both have over-unders that if they lose one game, the under pays. Like, why would you not take that?
I am very tempted. I'm not tempted enough to do it, but I'm tempted.
It's legal in certain states now, Pat, so you don't even have to go all the way to Vegas. You could just drive to, I think, is Alabama legal or I know Tennessee is, so, you can go a little closer.
Okay. Well, hey, look, before you go, I want to just let everybody know exactly what you're going to be doing this fall. I know you do a lot of studio stuff, and is that going to kind of continue the way it is?
Yeah, expanded schedule for me this year up in Charlotte. I'll be up there 4 nights a week now, as our SEC This Morning simulcast has expanded from Mondays to Fridays as well. So we'll kick that off this Friday. I'll actually be on TV on Thursday night for the Tennessee Bowling Green game. We'll do studio support for that show. We'll do our normal SEC Now Friday night. And then this Saturday, unfortunately, with Florida being on our network, I was excited about doing our normal studio show but I actually have to go to Columbia, South Carolina to call the debut of Shane Beamer's tenure in Columbia. So I'm gonna look forward to getting.
I don't even know who they're playing. Who are they playing?
They play Eastern Illinois, and it's not a sexy matchup, but I'm doing what I'm asked. I'm a good team guy, and then I'll be back in the studio for the rest of the season.
Oh, so that's the only game you're doing this year?
Yeah, I only did one last year. That was the Florida-Kentucky game, and that was only because Dusty Dvorak tested positive like the day before the game. So I was getting on the flight to go to Charlotte on Friday afternoon. They called me and told me to get off and stay. So I ended up getting to call that one. But yeah, I will do one game. And I love our studio guys so much. It's so much fun to be with Chiz and Dari. And this year we're adding Benjamin Watson to the group. So looking forward to getting with those guys here for the rest of the year.
And on the radio, of course, I listen to you every day on Sirius Radio. I used to listen to 84, but now I said, what am I doing? I don't want to listen to these guys talk about what food they ate. I want to listen to Doering talk college football. And so you're on, how many days a week are you on that channel in the mornings?
It's 5 days a week. I'll be honest with you. I've taken some days off during the off season, but I'll be more full-time here as we head into the season.
Sweet.
Peter Burns and I get a chance to have some fun and talk college football from 8 to 11. That's channel 374 on Sirius XM. And it's fun, man. People ask me all the time, Pat, oh, don't you want to move up and do more ESPN stuff? Like, I have the greatest job in the world on both the SEC network and on Sirius XM. I cover the 14 teams that I know the best, that I'm the most passionate about. I don't have to worry about talking about Hawaii or Cal or some of these teams out west that I don't know as much about. So I love getting the chance to go in depth the way we do on both of those stations.
Can you name Cal's coach?
Is it I was going to say Sonny Dykes or Jeff Tedford. I don't think it's any of those guys anymore, right?
I have no idea who it is. So
no
that's
idea.
A good point. We'll have to look it up when Florida goes out and plays them in 15 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But 374, I'm telling you, lock it in. It is the best show if you're a fan of SEC football, and certainly the Gators, but it's also a lot of fun. I enjoy it every morning, and it's become a regular for me. And, of course, Chris Doering on Saturdays and different days. I mean, you never know when Doring's going to pop up there. All because
I'm all over.
Doring's got a touchdown.
That's right.
That began your whole career.
It did begin my whole career, and I actually think I want to say, September 11th, 1993. This year will be a Saturday, September 11th. So Florida will be in action, not against Kentucky, but another anniversary, another opportunity. As I watched that video to see how old it looks and how old I am now.
It is weird to think about. That's the day you remember, but it's also this tragedy in America that everybody else says September 11th. And I think Molly Harry was also born that day. So it's just
same exact day.
And Jill Ander is a September 11th.
Tyson Doering born September 12th, so he was off there by a day. But it is, man, it's fun. I've had a chance to be at home, and I've been coaching PK, the receivers over there, some during the spring and summer, and I've had a chance to watch Tyson's first two games. So going to be hard to miss the rest of his senior season, but I'm excited about what he's doing out there and what the new coach Kevin Doling's doing at PK.
Chris, we'll get you back on later in the year, and we appreciate your time so much. You're my man, you know that, and we look forward to having you again as we go down the road. Thanks so much for joining us today as we kick off the season.
Yeah, have some fun this year, man. Thanks for everything, Pat. Appreciate you, man.
All right, Chris Doering joining us here on the I haven't done that yet, but the NIL Zoom line, we're going to have to get that all still figured out. We still haven't gotten that point yet, but it's probably going to be the NIL partner Zoom line at some point. Doesn't matter. I could say it. We got to take a break. We'll come back, and, of course, all of our fun things we're going to do. When we return, you're watching Another Dooley Noted Podcast live from the Shaq Allen Mercandani Studios here at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We'll be right back. This is Pat Dooley encouraging you to become a member of the Gainesville Quarterback Club, the oldest organization anywhere dedicated to Gator football. The club meets weekly during football season with an impressive list of speakers, including Bobby Stoops, Phil Fulmer, Steve Spurrier this year. Meetings are held at the Best Western Gateway Grand, and they have a special offer for you. The first 3 meetings you can attend for only $100. Believe me, this is a bargain, and trust me, you'll have a good time. Get off the bench. It's time to score for the Gators by joining the Gainesville Quarterback Club.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Dooley Noted Podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he has just opened up a place here, Adam's Rib Co. To Go. What would give you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Car accidents, trucking accidents, motorcycle accidents, and wrongful death. If injured or killed by the negligence of others, who will fight for the compensation you deserve? Shakow and Mercadante, 5 lawyers, more than 100 years of combined legal experience, millions in settlements and verdicts. Call Shakow and Mercadante, 371-3000. Rebuilding lives.
Okay, welcome back to another Duly Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Shakow Mercadante Studios. And appreciate everybody for watching or listening or doing whatever you want to do with it. You can do whatever you want with it, within reason. All right, so we've got to get to all of our stuff. I used to like to call it stuff, all these cool things that we do. We'll start off with the Adam's Rib Co. To Go Gator of the Weekend. And obviously, as we go forward here and with the full sports menu, it's going to be a lot easier to pick. Summer, we had a hard time because we had to find some. We did that Adam's Rib Co. To Go Mount Rushmores, but already we're finding it easier. And to me, this one was a no-brainer. The Adam's Rib Co. To Go Gator of the Weekend is Mary Wise, who won her 900th match at the University of Florida. Just an incredible number to think about, winning 900 times. 900 times you walk off the floor a winner in anything. I don't care what it is. It's amazing to have done that. And of course, she did it out there on the West Coast. And Florida does have a big match Tuesday with Stanford. I wonder if Stanford's down a little bit because they're 21st in the country, but they're still ranked. And Florida, of course, is 6th. And then Florida returns home on Sunday to face Minnesota, and Minnesota's ranked 7th, right below Florida. So that is going to be a great match. That should be a nice crowd, hopefully, for that. But I know that sometimes soccer maybe this year needs to be left out to, of all the publicity, because they obviously aren't off to a very good start, lost again. But volleyball needs to get a lot of pub and a lot of recognition for all the great things they do. And Mary Wise, I know people appreciate her with 900 wins. It's pretty amazing. So she is the Adam's Rib Co. To Go Gator of the Weekend. So maybe she instead of a little plaque, we'll get her free ribs from there. That'd be good. I'll be happy to deliver, Mary. All right, so we've got the Leonardo's and Millhopper Quick Picks, which we love doing, and we're going to expand it a little bit. We're going to go from 1 to 2. We did not get a lot of winners this week because or qualifiers, I should say, because Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks was Nebraska, Illinois. Nebraska given points, so you really lost. And of course, Illinois won that game. But we are going to expand it now to at least 2 games and maybe even to 3. I don't want to make it too complicated because what I found is people like, I got to pick 3 games. That's too much work. I got to email it to Pat Dooley. I don't want to do that. So we're going to give you 2, though, and you got to deal with it because these are Thursday games. Obviously, on Friday's broadcast, we'll have Saturday games, maybe even a Sunday game, but probably Saturday games. But on Thursday, we have some great games Thursday. I'm looking forward to it. So our Thursday games, Boise, and we're doing with the spreads. Boise State is at UCF in the Bound House. UCF is a 5-point favorite. I mean, UCF's got a great quarterback. I don't know. I don't know about that one. That's a hard pick. I don't envy you guys. I did make my pick in the paper today. Not in the paper. I don't work for the paper. On the WRUF.com, I did make my pick. So maybe you can look at that for guidance and pick the opposite team. Wouldn't blame you for that. And the other one is Ohio State giving 13.5 at Minnesota. Now, Minnesota's an interesting story in that they did not handle COVID very well. I mean, when I say that, it affected their team a lot more than some teams. Ohio State, obviously, it's a new era without Justin Fields, but they've got, I think, one of the best receivers in the country. Ryan Day is a really good coach. If I was betting, if I was gambling, I would stay away from that game. It would scare me. I could see Ohio State winning that game, a close game. I can see Ohio State blowing them out. Maybe Minnesota's that was a fluky year they had a couple of years ago. So we'll see. Other games that are being played that night, USF, NC State. So we get a look at USF team that's going to play against Florida in 2 weeks, which will be the following Saturday. And I don't think they're very good, but we'll see how they do. And then Tennessee, Bowling Green, which is another look at another team that Florida's going to play. So that's 2 games they're playing, 2 teams that they'll be playing in weeks 2 and 4. So you just kind of look at them and watch them. And I'm not saying you need to watch the game, but you might want to watch minutes of it. But it's great that we have that on a Thursday night. So Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks. So you don't have to get them both right because everybody might miss one, right? If you get whatever is the leader. So if everybody goes 1-1, everybody qualifies. And I know everybody I've talked to who's gotten the Leonardo's Quick Picks and won when we did the drawing has loved what they give. And the reason I don't tell you what you're getting is because I kind of wait until I see what's around, and everybody's loved what they've gotten. And you're getting a $25 gift certificate at Leonardo's at least, and then some other stuff, usually some merchandise and shirts and hats and stuff like that. And I usually throw another gift certificate in. You never know what you're going to get. So, but we appreciate Kyle over at Leonardo's and Millhopper for doing such a great job. I was in Destin, and I mentioned, somebody was asking me, and I was asked about how the other Leonardo's is closed now, and they lost their mind. I go, look, Leonardo's and Millhopper is open, and that's where you need to be going anyway. That's a great place. All right, so it is time for us to go here at the Shackhouse Mercandone Studios to our next feature, which is Alex Wesley Construction 12-pack. I did a different one this week. I did and from now on, from this point forward, it'll always be the 12 best teams. I'll rank them. But this week I decided to go with the bottom 12. I remember when I was a kid, they had the Randy Harvey began it. Now, I blanked on his name. Ryan McGee has picked it up and has given credit to Randy Harvey. And you'd get it in the paper. It would come in the paper all the time, and it would be a big fat guy sitting on 10 other guys would be the bottom 10. Well, we're doing the bottom 12 today. But then we'll go for the Alex Wesley Construction 12-pack. Love Where You Live, and I do, and he's done a lot of work there. Bottom 12 today. And we may do another one later in the year, maybe when we have an open week for the Gators. But here it is. Number 1, Nebraska. Look, nobody could have started out a season worse. I'm sorry. You're playing a team that you're favored over. Even though you're on the road, I mean, you're playing this game that is the featured game. You want to start getting recruits there, and you go out and you do so much wrong. It's just incredible how many mistakes they made. So they're definitely number 1. Number 2 is UConn, which could have played 100 more days of football and not gotten close to Fresno State. I mean, UConn is well, they waited an entire year to play football. They sat out last year. And their fans are going, can you do it again? Wait another year. Number 3, Kansas. Don't know much about Kansas. Just know they're probably bad. Right? I couldn't name one player. In fact, I don't think I can. Is Lance Leopold their coach now? He's a good coach. But they're bad. Number 4, off-season arrest. We saw this happen. Alabama player got arrested just the other day for DUI. Don't do that. And that's never a good thing to happen. Like I always say, the only good news, or the only news out of off-season or camp in the preseason is bad news. It's the way it works. You never really get good news unless you want to believe everything the coaches tell you, which I don't. So that was a bad thing to happen for Alabama, but I don't know if it'll affect their team. Number 5 on the bottom 12 is Hurricanes. You know, we need to get the Hurricanes to reschedule their season. You know, how about in February to, June, when all our sports are being played? Well, not all our sports. There's baseball. We can miss baseball games. Hurricanes need to think about that. Of course, obviously, they can't. They don't have brains. But, we knew LSU would be affected by a hurricane. They always are. We're not done. This is very early in hurricane season. We'll see what other games are affected by it. But you hate that when that happens. Number 6, Duke. Remember when Dave Cutcliffe everybody was in love with him because he was winning games he shouldn't win? They don't win many of those anymore. So I stuck him in there. Number 7, week 0. Anybody who calls it week 0, we can't be friends. It is week 1, and now we proceed to week 2. So please don't call it week 0. Number 8, the next COVID variant. It's coming. This one is going to go down, and then there'll be another one. We don't know where we're going to go here. It's just sad that we have to deal with this. Number 9, Terry Bowden. I like Terry Bowden a lot. I used to do radio shows with him. He's a great guy, believe me. I'm not saying this just because he's a Bowden, and again, certainly with a lot of respect for his dad passing away. But Terry Bowden is he's a coach at Louisiana Monroe. They're 28, I think it is, 28-point underdogs to Kentucky. He was the coach at Akron, where a lot of the players are guys he recruited. They're 33.5-point underdogs to Auburn. So combined, he's a 62-point underdog this week. Poor Terry. I don't know why he would take that Louisiana Monroe job. But anyway. Number 10, Vanderbilt, just because. Number 11, UCLA's opening crowd, which was unbelievably small. I was stunned by it. And number 12 is the Big 12, perfectly named, because the Big 12 continues everything. Every day something happens and nothing happens with the Big 12. And they talk about they want to do something, but do it. Do something. Save your conference. You're 12th on the Dooley's Bottom 12, brought to you by Alex Wesley Construction, the 12-pack. Love where you live. We appreciate Alex Wesley so much. It is time for the Hand Law 3 Things. The 3 Things is presented by Hand Law, a Florida law firm which helps clients with government. You can learn more about Hand Law by visiting its website at www.hand.law. The firm is available for consultation in Jacksonville. 3 things today. Number 1, I know kind of why the NFL's not playing this weekend, because the networks want to give college football a good start, right? So they want ABC, CBS, Fox, all them. All right, big kickoff for college football, and that's always been the way it is. But that was before we had this weird where there's no, only 3 preseason games. Well, this year you would have thought the NFL would have said, well, look, either move the preseason games back or go ahead and play that weekend. It just seems weird to me that from August 29th to September 9th, there's no NFL games. I don't know what these guys are going to do. They're going to overanalyze each other, overanalyze their teams, and probably screw some things up. But it seems weird to me. Number 2, I saw this tweet from Thomas Goldkamp, and it was interesting that, and we knew this, but no Zoom interviews for Florida throughout the season. I mean, nothing but Zoom interviews, I'm sorry. No in-person interviews. It doesn't make a lot of sense when you're going to put 80,000 people into a stadium, but you can't vaccinate. You could show proof of vaccination to actually have to go and do the interviews. I mean, I don't think I guess maybe the governor wouldn't want that, but I think everybody is pretty much vaccinated. I agree with him again, but it's not my world to complain about, because I wouldn't be doing the interviews anyway. I'll do some Zoom interviews, but I'm not going to be doing daily coverage of the team. Although I'm doing more. I'm going to be doing more. I'll talk about that later. But I get where he's coming from. And finally, number 3, today would have been my father's birthday. Of course, we lost him in April. He would have been 94 years old. It's a sad day for me. It always was so much fun making sure we reminded Billy Donovan to call him. Steve Spurrier would call him. Laura Rutledge would call him. Sometimes Billy Horschel would call him and wish him a happy birthday. Mostly, I'm just sad that I can't wish him a happy birthday. He was a great man, and we've talked about him a lot on this podcast, but today would have been his birthday, and I'll remember it next August 30th as well. But it makes me sad. Thanks to Chris Hand and to Hand Law for 3 things. Finally, we wrap it up, as we like to do with This, That, and the Other, presented by Dar Shakow Insurance, Ballyhoo Grill, and Ironwood Golf Course, where I went and played 6 holes yesterday. It was good to get out. I hadn't been out in a couple of weeks, and it's just kind of nice to get out there. Greens actually were rolling pretty good. All right, this part of this. The last time Florida Atlantic came to Gainesville was 2015. They were 31 point underdogs. I don't know how many of you remember that game. 2015. Jim McElwain, first year as coach. That was that the offensive line played like crap. The kicker, Austin Harden, missed 2 field goals and had an extra point blocked in overtime. Florida ends up in overtime. Florida Atlantic has the ball with a chance to score and win the game. To beat Florida, they were 2-9 at the time. Florida was 9-1 and ranked 8th in the country. I wrote about this. It'll be up on the Gators Wire site, talking to some people about it. That's one of the things I'm going to be doing for Gators Wire now. Book a List is going to go away for a little while, but that's fine. We're going to do more coverage, weekly coverage. The other, in This, That, and the Other, is that after the game, we all of a sudden realized Jim McElwain has won 10 games. First Florida coach to ever win 10 games in his first year. Let's celebrate this guy. And things didn't go well after that. In a way, that was the beginning of the end for Jim McElwain. Jim McElwain, when they had to go to overtime to beat Florida Atlantic, to win Florida Atlantic. That was kind of the beginning of the end. They lost the next 3 games, lost to FSU, lost the championship game, lost the bowl game. And, things just didn't go well for him. And, of course, within 2 years, he was gone. So, anyway, that's This, That, and the Other, presented by Dar Shakow Insurance, Ballyhoo, and Ironwood. And appreciate everybody for watching. Appreciate Chris Doering on Friday. We'll break it all down for you, Florida and FAU, and also Robbie Andrew will be on talk about that, and we'll talk about all the college football games that are going to be going on. This is going to be mostly a college football show, as you know. It already has been, but it really is once we get going. Appreciate our sponsors, especially our presenting sponsor, Titan MRI, and of course, Shakow Mercandone Studios. We appreciate them. Until next time, I am Pat Dooley. I am deep. I'm way back, and I am out of here.